welcome to Conversations with My Real Friends. I'm Jennifer. I'm here with my friend Ed. Ed is an estate planning attorney here in Westlake Village, and I'm a real estate attorney in Westlake Village. So we often collaborate and work on things because those two types of laws intersect often. So let's talk about the difference in a planning approach for real estate for you and me as homeowners versus a commercial investor, and how those plans and those ideas differ.
I would say there's a lot of overlap with respect to the vision and the goal, like who doesn't want to avoid taxes, for example, right? But I would say from a more personal nature, you're dealing with things like, are my kids going to be safe?
Right.
Do I want my favorite child, because there's always a favorite child, to get this property, and then my other child to get cash, right? So you're dealing with more personal things like, are we going to keep this in the family name?
Right.
Now on the commercial side, it's more business, right? How do we protect? How do we minimize liability? And so with respect to commercial transactions, we're dealing with business entities a lot of the time, several business entities. Are we going to set up a situation so that when the apartment complex goes to the children, we'll maintain the same property taxes? How do you do that? And so there's layers upon layers of planning. Capital gains taxes is another issue.
Yes.
Estate taxes is another issue. There are mitigation techniques so that when mom and dad pass away, or when the owner passes away, we minimize estate taxes. And we usually use that through sophisticated strategies like trusts and business entities.
Right. Well, and one of the things that I'm seeing is often, mom and dad have built this portfolio of property that requires effort, right? Owning apartment building, you're managing people and payroll, and rent and all of the things that come about. And Junior's not at all interested in doing any of that.
He just wants the money.
He just wants the money, right?
Yeah.
And so knowing that, planning for that, putting that in place really is going to be important, because depending upon whether Junior plans to keep the property or not, that's going to change how we plan completely, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a continuation of services and businesses, or are we going to liquidate and just protect the asset? I'd say one other area that parents are generally amenable to planning is when their children inherit, they're looking for some level of asset protection for their kids. And so that's definitely one of the options when you set up an estate plan, is when the children inherit. Right. Let's just say you never liked your son-in-law.
Correct.
Because we all don't.
Right. Nobody likes, everybody wants their kid, but not their kid's spouse.
That's right. So
to get it.
There are levels of sophistication in this type of planning where we can actually carry that out as practitioners. Right. Because that's our trade, and that's where we are competent in those areas. So.
Well, that goes to inherited property. So we're talking, a lot of this goes to California law and community property, right? So in California, if you're married, pretty much your stuff's your spouse's stuff. But with inheritances, those are not community property, they're separate property.
That's right.
But you have to protect it to make sure that that stays that way.
You have to make sure that it stays on your side.
Right.
And you have to be very clear about it, because the default interpretation is that because you're in California, it's community property unless you can prove otherwise. So be very clear in the ongoing maintenance and structure of that asset if you inherit it, to keep it separate.
Yeah. So the bottom line is you need to talk to people like us to know what to do and plan so that we're getting the best opportunity for your kids to get the best value out of your estate.
That's right.
So if people have questions, how can they reach you?
We are Oak Crest Law Group here in Westlake Village, California. Online at oakcrestlaw.com, or by phone at 818-597-8800.
So thank you for joining me, Ed.
Thanks, Jennifer.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of Conversations with My Real Friends. Talk to you soon.